So we had a fellowship in Florida,
Okay.
and we would all come together on Shabbats or sometimes every other Shabbat, and we'd fellowship
Okay.
with one another. And some of the saints were moving, and it dawned on me at the time too, like there's nothing here for us to stay for,
Mhm.
So I think we were there for about a year or so after that, and I asked myself the question, why do I need to stay?
Mm.
What's keeping me here? Had a good job, comfortable job, and it just wasn't as important as being around Yah's people,
Mm.
being around people that have already done what I wanted to do, and them being an example for me.
So now when you physically came out to Straightway where Pastor Dow lives, where the
Mhm.
Saints live, how was that experience coming out here? It's one thing seeing them in Florida and sharing, but then to come out here and see how they live life, how was that experience in meeting the people that live out
It was quite an experience because I had never seen anything like it before.
here?
In the Christian church, you would never hear them talk about or teach about living a biblical life, about setting yourself apart and being sold out for Christ. And their dedication to it was, man, it was inspiring to me. And I wanted to be a part of it in whatever way I could possibly be a part of it. And definitely encouraging, seeing the grassroots of where they came from, the sacrifices they made, and it was a big light for me because it gave a new meaning to the word a living sacrifice. Continuous sacrifice is what you see here, and it just encouraged me to try to be the same,
So you guys, so you came out here, you can see, them living this thing out, right?
Right.
So eventually you guys made, is it now the community that the assembly that was being in Florida, did you guys all eventually move out here?
Yes.
Did you guys all vote, or I mean, how did that process?
We just all started. We listened to our shepherd. He said, "You need to come out of her, and that's what we did."
And your wife was gun ho, saying, "Let's do it."
Yep.
And she was supportive and everything.
Definitely.
Wow.
Definitely. At that time, my first son was born right as we were coming into this
Okay.
truth and this faith, and what he taught was to homeschool your children. And at the time, I was already under the mindset that school systems, government, financial systems, our best interest wasn't at hand when dealing with them. So I knew for certain that this pastor, my pastor, he had our best interest in hand, and his advice was to homeschool your children. And so when she was on maternity leave, I decided that's it. You won't go back,
So, what is the biggest impact that Streetway has had for you since becoming into them? You said 2011 was the first
2011.
11, and so you've been a part of this ministry for almost, or been exposed to this ministry for almost 7 years.
Almost 7 years.
7 years, and is this the longest you've been to an assembly? Now, maybe in your childhood, but you were there. But in your adult life,
In my adult life, definitely.
this is the longest.
This is the
thing.
longest.
I mean, has it gotten old? Like, okay, maybe I know for me, when I go to church after 3 years, it kind of like
Right.
it's like I'm looking for okay, I've sucked up everything. He's about to repeat his messages again. He's going back to when I first came here, and I'm looking for another church. Do you have that urge of thinking like I need something else? I mean, tell me your experience
Not
after 7 years.
after 7 years. You can see his growth, and you can continue to see him going deeper and deeper into the scriptures, and it never gets old. And being out in the world, I've seen what the world has to offer. Not interested.
So you're not interested.
Not
You
interested.
go back to aviation.
Hey, if I can get back into it, hallelujah. But if not, then
Wow. So you got people that that when they look at Pastor Dow, I mean, this man is, you know the word. I mean, he's arrogant, prideful. I mean, what do you have to say to critics like that when people, may have not met the man, think he's arrogant, prideful? Is that what you see in Pastor Dow, a man that's just arrogant and prideful?
no, not at all. I mean, the word tells us to be as bold as a lion, when you speak about truth. And that's exactly what he does when he is in his mode of preaching, in his office of being a preacher. In the Christian churches or churches in general, what you see is a soft, effeminate type of delivery, which speaks to your emotions more than anything. But for me, I actually enjoyed his firmness and his strength. When I first was introduced to Pastor Dowell, I actually enjoyed that because I like that strong talk. My dad, that's how that's what his delivery was growing up, so I was comfortable with it.
So now you came in right before he started talking about polygyny.
Yes.
So you was there for the great separation. Like, I don't know what they call it.
Big separation.
But I mean, when the polygyny came up, how did that impact you? How did it impact your marriage? How did it impact? I mean, that was a big hit there. I mean,
it was a big hiccup. It was a big hiccup. In my house, me personally, I know for sure that I was not going anywhere. My wife struggled with it for a little bit, of course, because we're still hardwired and programmed to believe matriarchally, you know what I mean? We were still purging those things out of us, So she, of course, naturally, a woman would struggle with that more than a man would. But that polygyny, I tell you what, it has become the topic of conversation for the last, I'd say, 12 months. And it is...
You mean currently?
Yeah, currently.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
in a good way.
A beautiful topic in my home.
Oh, okay.
Beautiful topic in my home. Okay. Not just for the physical or the now aspect of it, but the spiritual side of it too, with seeing how the father is a polygynist. And a big example, a big point I make in my home too. What if the father wasn't a polygynist, or what if one of his wives were to say, "No, you can't come in"? What if that was towards me, trying to come into this truth and trying to be converted?
But you can't, because it only takes one person.
I only want one.
Wow. That's deep. So your wife is she in now big supporter, or is she still working through that?
Oh, she's a supporter.
She's a supporter.
Yes, sir.
Stuff. Okay. So none of the. So can you just tell me what happened during that time? Because I'm just trying to. I'm fairly new, but what was that time like? Did people just quit? I mean, it was right there. Polygyny is supported in the Bible. What was some of the reason why people left? Were you friends with some of the people that are in it? Even some people that you came from Florida?
Yeah.
Are they all here, or did some of them even leave?
Some of them left.
And
some of them left.
Why did they leave? What was their?
Well, there's multiple reasons why many of them left. Some, I'll give you an example. Yeah. Pastor mentioned during this feast that not to pull up the tares because the roots of the wheat still intertwined with them. Pulling up the tares, you'll also uproot. Some of the tare left, and they uprooted, I guess, some of the wheat with it. But then again, the word says, if you put your hand to this plow and you look back, you're not fit for the kingdom. During that time, I think one of the assemblies had mentioned something about multiple marriages or polygyny or something to that effect, and it just started a firestorm. Good fire. But fire is good because it purges, and that's exactly what it did. It purged a lot of a lot of people out.
How's your dad or your family think about polygyny? I'm assuming they're aware of that, or even your wife's side of the family. Are they aware of it, and how do they talk to you? Do they talk to you about it? Have you had that conversation
Yeah.
with your?
I haven't had that conversation with my wife's family. I don't need to.
Okay, yeah.
Doesn't matter what they think. Doesn't matter what my parents think too. To be honest with you, but they have grown to respect the faith, this faith.
I guess what I'm trying to get is just more. From being a Christian, can they accept it? Do they still see it as sin, or because you were trained up in the Christian way,
Right?
And things like that. So I'm just wondering, do they see? Do they say you do have a point, or do they say it's flat out sin? I guess I'm just trying to get a perspective. Somebody who raised you as a child to love God,
Right.
and now you're taken to a whole other level. But they think or do they think you're a
Right.
heretic, or?
Oh, they think that it would be sin because of what they've been brought to know, in the Christian church. Like myself, when I was coming into this truth, all I knew was what I've been taught. But when we sit down and we open the Bible and we say, okay, here's the law, here's what we're supposed to do, these are the things we're not supposed to do. It's simple in black and white. It couldn't be any more simpler to understand than that. Versus, hey, this is culture, or this is what we've been taught. This is what we've learned. This is our heritage, so to speak. As far as Christians go, they couldn't back it up in the law. They couldn't. And when you do try to back it up in the law, as far as Christianity goes, you come right back to the truth, and you realize, well, you're actually right.
I think that's good. That's good. So you're not brain dead. You're an educated man. You would like to think so.
Woo, boy, I got so many licenses and certifications and whatnot.
Wow, that's good. Is that good? Good? All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate you having that.